Welcome to the TCO. I am the Corrupted Otaku, and today I'm going to be bringing you a review of Rurouni Kenshin, the live-action movie, alright? I'm going to make this as spoiler-free as possible, so let's just, jump right into this, alright? So, the one thing that I noticed about the movie is, obviously it was adapted different than from the original anime series, which I think it actually makes it... It actually improves it in certain areas, if you ask me. Like, the one thing that Rurouni Kenshin, the TV series, is relatively, or the anime, is known for is it has a lot of filler in it. There's, a few episodes in there that are just like, why is this in here? This doesn't really make sense. Why is he even messing around with this particular character? When I'm sure this character really isn't needed. And I think they made this prevalent within the actual Rurouni Kenshin movie because there's actually a character that isn't actually in the movie. They replaced him with a different character that Rurouni ends up meeting up a little later in the anime series. And of course, it pretty much, the movie follows, if I remember correctly, pretty much the entire season 1. And I think that they executed it in a very well-mannered, it was, in my opinion, executed well. One thing that I really did enjoy was, for example, Rurouni Kenshin's character. He had more depth. There was more substance to him within this particular movie than as opposed to his counterpart in the anime series. Because in the anime series, you get this sense that he does not want to kill, but you never actually see him struggling with that side of him. You never really see him perhaps maybe remembering something that he did in the past, and it's ultimately affecting him in where he is currently. That's something that they played on in the actual movie. They actually made him fight, I guess you could say, his inner demons that are within him. His memories, his past. He has to live with that. It's not just, here I'm introduced to these new people, this new group. They're my friends. I don't have to wander anymore. So that's like a weight off my shoulder. That's not the case within this. And I really like that kind of depth within this character in this particular movie. Overall, it's approximately about 2 hours and 6 minutes, plus or minus a minute here and there. The pacing of the movie overall is actually relatively decent, if you ask me. There really wasn't a time where I was like, this movie's going too slow, it's not going too fast. Another thing that I enjoyed, at least particularly for the subtitles that were within this particular movie, is they weren't too fast, which also is a good thing in the sense that, it actually flowed with what they were, how they were talking, so, it wasn't like 50 miles an hour of talking, then all of a sudden text appearing, vanishing text appearing. They did it as a well-paced dialogue throughout the entire movie. So, for example, if you are watching the subbed version, which as far is the only real version available as of right now, besides in full Japanese, it's a nice flow. Yeah, it's a nice flow. That's pretty much all I really got to say. It's a nice flow. But I did really enjoy the execution of this movie. I must say that I definitely enjoyed it, probably a little bit better than the series. I mean, it kind of showed me, like, the potential of, like, if you were to, like, what they did with Dragon Ball Z Kai, or Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I mean, if you were to take this movie concept, it basically, you could say, crammed the entire first season into, like I said, 2 hours and 6 minutes, so about 22 minutes or 26 minutes an episode. You're probably looking about maybe 4 episodes, plus or minus a minute here and there, in this 2-hour movie. And, I mean, it worked. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, especially when the action started to pick up. I mean, the choreograph, the fighting was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. They did throw some anime humor in there, probably more for like an Easter egg or maybe even nostalgic reasons. Probably for the people there that really enjoyed it, and maybe if they ever decide to do an actual dubbed version, which I'm definitely hoping if they do. But even if they don't, I probably will be picking this up on DVD or Blu-ray, even if I have to get it all the way from Japan. That's how much I enjoyed this movie. I mean, it was really good. It was definitely executed, in my opinion. Like I said, the character Rurouni Kenshin in the movie far exceeds the character in Rurouni Kenshin, the anime series, hands down. They just really dove into that character. Obviously, in the movie, they didn't really dive into any of the other characters, but they really didn't do that really. They did that somewhat in the anime series, so that's probably really only the real negative thing with this. They don't really dive into the other characters, but that does make sense because you're talking about like a 2-hour movie, so they're not going to be able to dive into every character. You're introduced to the characters in a completely different way, which, you know, it didn't actually bother me. You know, when I noticed it, you know, I was like, you know, it doesn't bother me. There was even a moment where, quick minor spoiler, Kenshin ended up going to jail. I was like, well, he never went to jail in the series, but I was like, you know what? I think it works for this movie, so I'm not going to complain. So yeah, overall, I totally enjoyed Rurouni Kenshin. If you can find it streaming live on the internet, I definitely recommend you to check it out. If you can, you know, I'm sure, give it some time, Amazon, eBay, you'll be able to find that beast imported with some subs, and you'll be able to watch it then. So yeah, I totally enjoyed it. I definitely recommend you checking it out if you're a Rurouni Kenshin fan. Even if you didn't like the anime series, I would even recommend you actually checking it out, because you may actually like it better than the anime series. I thought it was executed really well. Definitely way better than the Western version of fucking Dragon Ball Z. That fucking movie does not exist in my book. So yeah, definitely a good movie in my opinion. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my review for Rurouni Kenshin, the live action movie. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and this particular review of that movie, and I hope to see you again on the TCO.